Good morning, Ike. Today's your first day as a professional soldier, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm ready to go.
What you are is late. The others were suited up and ready at the break of dawn.
Sorry, I'll get up earlier from now on. So, what's my first job?
I'm talking with Titania right now. Wait outside until we're done.
Yes, sir.
Very well, Commander Greil. Shall we continue?
You were telling me about some bandits that needed taking care of, weren't you?
Correct. The request comes from a nearby village. According to our reports, the bandits are not all that strong. I think it best if I ride out and take a look. I plan on taking Oscar and Boyd with me.
Just the brothers? Go ahead and add Ike to your team. Shinon, Gatri, and I can handle the other two jobs easily enough. Titania, I'm leaving Ike in your care. I'm trusting you to show him the ropes.
Understood, Commander. Come on, Ike. Let's get you set up.
Alright, my first job. Captain Titania, preparations are complete and I'm ready to go.
Impeccable timing. It's nice to know we can always count on you to be at the ready, Oscar.
Don't forget about me. I'm ready for action.
Is that so, Boyd? That's a surprise.
Ha! Not today it isn't. As of today, I'm going to be the absolute model of perfection. I need to set a good example for Ike.
I'll take your word for it. Your first campaign at last. I know you've wanted this for a while. Are you nervous, Ike? I think I was more nervous last night. I could hardly sleep. This morning I'm feeling pretty good. It's the calm before the storm. You should try to relax. You're not going to be out there alone. Yeah, you're right.
Right. Everyone ready? Let's go. Alright, let me explain what's going on. This is a map of Chaldea. They've hired us to drive off some bandits. We're the blue marks here. The red dots are the bandits. There aren't many of them, but we can't get careless. The one in front of the building up north is their leader. Our mission is to take him out and recapture that building.
Ike, listen up. All this stuff is old news to me, but I can give a rookie like you a few tips. First off, don't let yourself get worked up and jump out in front of everyone. You'll just end up getting hurt.
Don't try to do too much, Ike. When things get dangerous, you can, and should, rely on us. As long as you watch how the enemy moves carefully, you'll be fine. Think of this as a training mission. I'll do that. Oscar, Boyd, thanks for your help. Don't mention it.
Just sit back and watch how a professional handles things.
Enough chit-chat, you three. We've got work to do. Ike, before you engage an enemy, take a good look at his weapon. The weapon you use often determines who has the upper hand on a fight. For example, the axe I'm wielding serves me well against lances, but it fares less well against swords.
And my lance is great against swords, but not against axes. And to complete the triangle... Ah, my sword. It's strong against axes, but weak against lances, right?
Yes, exactly. If you remember that, you'll be more effective in combat.
That's just the basics, though. This'll come in handy soon enough, so don't forget it.
Swords over axes. I won't forget. Not if I remember that I'll always have the advantage over you, Boyd.
Do you think you could maybe find a different way of remembering? Yeah, thanks.
And one more thing. Don't forget to visit the locals. We're here to help, after all. The villagers should welcome our presence.
After presumably a few years of training, Ike finally gets to join the others on a real job. It's kind of a Fire Emblem tradition to fight bandits in at least 1 or 2 early chapters. Joining Ike on this mission are Titania, Boyd, and Oscar. Titania is second in command of the Greil mercenaries. She and Greil trust and respect each other completely, although they are not romantically involved. She sort of plays a motherly role to the rest of the mercenaries, albeit a sarcastic mother. Her exact age is never stated, but she's probably in her early to mid-30s. We'll learn more about her as a person through dialogue as the game progresses. Interestingly, if she is defeated in battle, she will not die, unlike most characters. Instead, she is severely injured and unfit for combat for the rest of the game. For gameplay purposes, it's the same as dying, but she still talks during the dialogue sections. Right now, in Chapter 1, a direct stat-to-stat comparison shows her to be more powerful than any of the other characters available to us, and she has very good growth rates. That is, overall she has good chances of multiple stats increasing when she levels up. However, she is pre-promoted, so she only gets 19 levels to use those growth rates, and she doesn't get promotion bonuses like other characters do. Later on in the game, when Oscar promotes, his stats as a level 1 paladin are extremely likely to be better than hers as a level 1 paladin, which is what she is right now. This limits her long-term usefulness, so I won't be using her any more than absolutely necessary. She also has the counter skill, but this is far, far less useful in Path of Radiance than in Awakening and Fates. Instead of being guaranteed, it has a very small chance of activating, and it only deals half the damage back to the enemy instead of all of it. Boyd is the middle of 3 brothers. Oscar is older, and Rolf is younger. He's sort of a foil to Ike. Where Ike doesn't seem to think much of himself, Boyd is hot-headed, boisterous, and proud. I wouldn't go so far as to call it arrogance, but he definitely likes who he is and what he does. He seems to be close to the same age as Ike, probably in his late teens. Boyd starts out with a lot of HP and not much else. Give him some time though, and his strength will skyrocket. His skill and speed will probably become decent as well. If they do, we'll use him, otherwise he'll end up on the bench. Don't expect much from him in the defense and resistance departments though. And try not to rely on him too heavily at the start of the game either, because he has the Tempest skill, which doubles an extremely annoying variable called biorhythm. And you can't get rid of it to make him more reliable until the beginning of Chapter 8. His magic stat is unlikely to rise above 3 by the end of the game, but that doesn't matter because there's only 1 magic axe in the game. Generally speaking, characters who use metal weapons don't care about their magic stat. Later in the game, when he promotes, he learns to use bows in addition to axes, giving him a much more accurate ranged attack option than throwing hand axes. Interestingly, if we compare his stats now to what he had in the prologue, we can see that he was actually telling the truth when he said he wasn't giving it his all. At 24, Oscar is the oldest of the 3 mercenary brothers. He's the most calm and amiable of them, and he's also the best cook in the company. He's nothing if not loyal to the people he cares about. Also, I think he might be an ancestor of Brock from Pokemon. Oscar starts out with solid numbers in HP and defense, which make him excellent for protecting your more fragile characters. His strength and speed don't rise as quickly as I'd like, but they're not bad in the long term. On the plus side, he's got a great skill growth, which makes his attacks more accurate. So once he gets to 13 strength, you'll never need him to use an iron lance instead of steel. He's definitely worth using. But like Ike, he doesn't start out with any skills, which are different from the skill stat. I really wish they had used a different word for skills in the skill stat, but I digress. Magic will consistently be his lowest stat, but that doesn't matter because there's only 1 magic lance in the game and there are at least a few other characters who can use it better. Upon promotion, he can learn to use swords, axes, or bows. I would not give him swords under any circumstances since his strength is only mediocre, and swords are the weakest type of physical weapon. Besides, you'll get plenty of other characters who can use them. Between axes and bows, well, that depends on a certain spoilery factor. Anytime he is riding next to his brother, both gain a plus 10 bonus to their critical hit rates. What's going on out there? Is that some sort of army? Pah, a bunch of mercenaries looking for their next meal. The villagers must have hired them. Listen up, lads. Hurt 'em and hurt 'em bad. We let this bunch live and we'll have hordes of hired swords hounding us the rest of our days. This chapter is reasonably simple as long as you don't overextend your characters. Your first move should be unequipping Titania's weapon. While unequipped, Titania will be your enemy's primary target because she won't counterattack, which will keep your lower-leveled, more vulnerable characters safer. The fact that she won't counterattack also enables the others to fight more, get more experience points, and level up faster. Titania is so much higher in level than the rest of the combatants that she can safely ride to the visitable houses right away despite them being surrounded by enemies. And you should visit these houses quickly because if you take too long, this will happen to more than one house. It's those fool villagers. They think they can buy a bunch of sellswords to chase us away. It ain't gonna work out how they wanted. All they get for their trouble is a bunch of ruined houses. Tear 'em down, boys. That'll teach 'em. That would reflect poorly on the Greil mercenaries. When you visit a house, your character is implied to say basically, hey, danger is coming, you'd better lock up and keep your head down. Ah, you're with the mercenaries, right? Thank you for coming. We've heard a lot about you. Here, take this weapon. We're farmers, not fighters. Maybe you'll get some use from it. The resident of the house will be grateful for the warning and immediately give a thank you gift to the character who visited.
Since those bandits took over, we can't even sleep at night. Please, help us save our village. Here, my mother left me this. I hope it serves you well.
That's another reason why it's important to visit the houses quickly. If the bandit destroys them, you don't get those gifts. My work here is done. This house is totaled. Time to move on to bigger things. Now I smash me some mercenaries. Most of your enemies in this chapter use axes, although some use swords. Because of the weapon triangle, this is great for Ike, but not so much for Oscar and Boyd. Try to keep Oscar away from the axe users and Boyd away from the sword users. Boyd also shouldn't take on too many enemies at once, because he's not nearly as likely to dodge their attacks as Ike is, and they pack quite a punch. Oscar can probably finish off some wounded axe users, but take into account the possibility of his attack missing. Boyd will miss sometimes too, partly because of his Tempest skill. And of course, Oscar should be your primary attacker against enemy sword users. Once you've visited both of the houses that can be visited, it's okay to let the enemies come to you. That said, as a general rule, you want to finish up each chapter in as few turns as possible. There's a reward for it that I'll explain later. The boss isn't that dangerous, but you don't want to take him too lightly. Since he uses an axe, Ike is your best bet. Just make sure Ike has enough HP to survive getting hit twice before you attack, and you'll be fine. Hey, you're nothing but a boy. Well, every brat needs a beating now and then. Are you ready for it? Not today. If you want to run away, now's your chance. Imagine that, you sassing me. Don't that beat all? You looking for something, fool? Are you looking for a fight? You came to the right place. I'll give you a tussle. Ugh! I'm meant for better than this. I don't want to die here.
That's the end of it. Ike, are you alright?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
You know, you've surprised me to think that you've come so far.
Look at my father, though. I've still got such a long way to go.
There's nothing you can do about that. After all, Commander Greil is...
Huh? What about my father?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing? Now I'm really curious.
Don't worry. You'll learn all about it someday.
Hey Ike, that wasn't bad for your first battle. Not as flashy as my first time, though.
Yeah, you were a real standout. I'll never forget the sight of you so keyed up you broke your own axe.
Oscar! Dang it, you didn't have to bring that up.
Anyway, Ike, congrats on finishing your first mission. Welcome to the group.
Everyone's alright? Then let's get going. I'm sure Miss has a nice hot meal waiting for us.